The views and opinions expressed on Live at the Barbershop are entirely those of the host, guest, and caller and do not reflect the opinions of Live at the Barbershop or its staff. Viewers' discretion is advised. The following podcast is intended for mature audiences only and contains adult content, graphic language, strong sexual content, and a whole lot of shit talking. So in other words, get your kids out the room.
Live, here we go at the barbershop with your hosts, Misha J, Aaliyah, Black Republican, and those two crazy Caribbean guys from the Q&N show, Norris and Q. And now, the man of the hour, Mr. HNIC, Mr. Sleep When You're Dead, Hustle Now, the magnificent.
Yo, son. What's up with all that?
I was just trying to amp it up, you know, like...
Oh, okay, all right, yeah, I'm all right, I'm with that.
John, live at the Barbershop Podcast.
Another Friday night. Information is given. Let's see who's going to receive it.
Tonight is information Friday night information night.
It's tonight is a very, very, very important topic tonight. We're talking about bone marrow transplants. In the Black community, it's not something that we talk about on a regular. You know, you do the World Star thing, you do the WhatsApp, the YouTube thing, but no one really talks about bone marrow transplants.
Basically, the real medical issue when it concerns the Black community.
Only if it involves something personal, like if a family member, your child or something like that, but
not on a regular.
Not
basis.
on a regular, and that needs to change.
It's not a regular conversation. It's not around. It's not a what you call it, dinner table,
right?
Conversation,
right.
Yeah.
So right now, we decided, okay, we're gonna jump that hurdle, and we're going to bring the information and educate the community
as much as we can.
Because once you get educated, they can't stop you. Okay? So we have a special guest tonight. But before we get to that, I would like to introduce myself. My name is John. I'm the host for the night. And Q, unfortunately, is not with us tonight.
So to his far left.
So
his
to the
far left.
To the far left.
Far left.
Is my man Norris. Norris in the building.
In the white shirt and black tie. I mean, another white shirt again.
White and black.
Right. I had on white shirt last week, so I brought it back again.
Norris is in the building. Norris, what's good? What's good?
Everything is good. Friday night, live at the barbershop.
Another
show for the year.
Let me bring my girl in, Nisha J. Nisha J is in the building. What's up, Nisha J?
Hi, how everyone is doing?
Yes, my dear. Once again, Sassy. Sassy is in the building with us tonight. Sassy, what's going on?
Of course.
Hey.
Yes. And without further ado, our special guest for tonight, Mr. Ian Richards. Mr. Ian Richards, thank you very much for blessing us tonight.
Good night.
It's a blessing to be here. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you very much. So, we're going to touch on bone marrow transplants, bone marrow donations, and things of that effect. So, we spoke briefly about this topic, and if you could let the audience know, why is it so dear to your heart?
It's dear to my heart because there are young people and some older folks that pass away from it.
Right.
I am a strong advocate for it because I didn't know it existed before.
Okay.
And what happened was I was on the bench. I was a former county court judge here in Broward County. And after I left the bench, I was allowed to kind of speak my mind a little bit more. And somebody approached me about bone marrow donation.
Right.
And I hadn't heard of it before. And to be honest with you, thinking about giving my bone marrow, I'm like, that sounds like it hurts.
Yeah.
So I went to Norland Senior High School in Miami Gardens, and we used to be the #1 blood donation high school in Miami-Dade County. I currently live in Broward County.
Okay.
And so I didn't have any problems with giving blood, but bone marrow sounded like it's something that was at another level. I didn't know that all they had to do was take a swab from inside your cheek.
Right.
And so a gentleman approached me from the Caribbean bone marrow registry. I didn't know it existed. And he said, would you do me a favor? Would you lend me your name so that I can, promote this cause? And, people promote all kinds of things. And I was like, well, can't hurt. So let me see, what's it about? People stay on the bone marrow registry, both for a company called Be the Match, which is the main one, and smaller ones like the Caribbean bone marrow registry for years.
Right.
And some people get a match and some people don't. So what they did was they came in and they took cotton swabs of the inside of my cheek. And they took my wife's cotton swab inside her cheek, and then they took the swab of inside all three of my children's cheeks.
Okay.
And when they did that, they did something like they came back with results, and they did the same kind of results that you would get from like a 23andMe and Ancestry.com. They said, oh yeah, you black, like you came from, you people, you're like 65% Nigerian or something like that. And you got a little bit of Syrian there, but the next stuff is Uganda and some of the other places. And that was really interesting to figure that stuff out. But I was there for something a little bit more serious. And I found out that of my three children, only two can donate to each other. So we have three children, and no funny business happens. So, of the three children, I have my daughter, who's the eldest. She's about to turn 17. My middle son and my youngest son. And turns out that only the latter two, my middle son and my daughter, could actually donate to each other, which means that if something were to happen, like for example, if my youngest son had cancer of the bone or something like that, there wouldn't be a match for him. And these are things that you find out when it's really almost too late.
Right.
You're talking about somebody who might look fine today, but they may feel sluggish one day. And later on you find out that they had to completely wipe out their immune system and potentially build it back up again. What I discovered about bone marrow donation is that it's 75% of the time or so, it's more like you're donating blood. So they give you a medicine, your body starts producing more bone marrow cells, and then you donate blood. There is a donation that's a little bit more in depth than that, where they take actual small pieces of bone, but that's rare. They don't do that most of the time. Most of the time, you're donating just like you'd be donating blood. And in order to figure out whether or not you're a match, they take a cotton swab. And these people don't have to be part of your initial family, but they do have to match in order to be able to do this. And I figured it was one of the most selfless things that somebody could do. Just to let you know, of the five of us that took the exam, or the, what do you call it? Swab.
The swab.
Yeah, the swab. They don't keep the children. They take the children out of the DNA match process. So me and my wife, we stay in, but our three children, they discard that because they're not allowed to keep that that history until they become 18 years old. So me, it was a real blessing because you get to find out little quirks and stuff about your background and everything else. But you also get to be a part of a process that helps folks. And at the time, I didn't realize as well, I was approaching the age where they stopped taking my bone marrow. Because when you get too much older, the doctors don't want it anymore. I don't know why, but okay. So that was
complications.
Hey, when you start getting too many gray hairs, I ain't gonna say nothing, but this, it's not all black hair up here. You get too many gray hairs, they're not looking for us so much.
So when they,
But they're ages, huh?
so when they want somebody to donate, you have to be like at a certain age bracket. Like,
I I believe that if you're within the same family or something, and you need it,
Yeah.
they'll go ahead and they'll take just about anyone. But when it comes time to join the registry,
Yeah.
the doctors, for whatever reason, have decided that they want folks that are a little bit younger. I think it's younger than 40 or younger than 35 or something like that. They want folks that are a little bit younger. But I encourage you can pay to actually be on there.
Mhm.
They make you can pay to be on there. But if you're a little bit younger, like I was at the time, you don't have to pay. They'll come and get your blood and put you in the process, and maybe you can help someone. You can save a life. You don't know who you will save.
True. Now let me pose a question now. Sassy, this question is for you. Why do you think this is not a
Well-known thing.
real factor to us in our community, in the black community? It's like, all right, for instance, now, if I was to go spark a conversation, let's just say it's a bunch of fellas in the room, and I decided we were going to talk about bone marrow and stuff. All of a sudden, it's like, oh,
You're not
everyone,
stealing my DNA.
right? So it's like we need to when it comes to these vital information in the neighborhood, for some reason, it's like it's taboo.
It's not a hot topic of conversation in
It is taboo, just
neighborhood.
because of what we went through as a people in this country. We were the primary, guinea pigs
Guinea
for a lot
pigs.
of experiments.
Lab monkeys.
Right.
So it's generational
Experiment.
distrust,
Yeah.
which is understandable.
Yeah.
It's understandable. Like, all right, for instance, now to know that there's only 23%
Matching, for the Black community.
in our community, and
Yeah.
and I was educated. I didn't know this because I have friends that have like sickle cell and stuff. I didn't know it all ties in.
Yeah.
Like lymphoma and leukemia and
Yeah.
sickle cell. I didn't
Mhm.
know
All that ties
they
in
all tie in.
with,
You know what I mean?
with
Yeah. The blood cancers and the blood disorders. Yes.
So, can you name all of the things that it ties into to educate the audience?
The
Of what?
various diseases.
Yes.
Ooh, there's a good amount. But anything concerning blood cell loss, a lot of them are different types of leukemias, especially multiple myeloma. Actually, I had an aunt that was diagnosed in her 60s with multiple myeloma. This was before, so with the advance of research, they eventually realized by doing what Mr. Richards mentioned, the blood donation, which is the stem cells. So it's called PBSC. That's the one where you go in and you actually donate from just your IV. They pull it out of one arm, sends it through a machine, takes out the blood cells that they need, and then send it back into your body. But
Yes.
you do have to be prepped. So for that, there's two types for that. One is autologous, which is you giving your cells to yourself before you do chemo or chemoradiation to kill the cancer cells, which is high dose, and it puts it at risk of killing everything. So they take out what they can prior to, and then they put it back into your body for it to start to regenerate new cells. So the main cells that are focused on are your white blood cells, your red blood cells, and your platelets. You've heard of stem cell therapy before.
Right.
It's not the controversial one. This
Right.
one only focuses on blood cells. These cells will only create blood cells, white blood cells, red blood cells, and platelets. And it's to help reduce the cancer load for a lot of people. Yeah.
Is
So
this
what?
all generated from the young lady? Her name is Henrietta Lacks. She was the reason for the cure of cancer. There was a documentary that was on television and
Yeah.
on some shows. Her name was Henrietta Lacks. and she was she had a gene component that was
Yeah.
identifiable with cancer.
She
So
had cervical cancer,
right.
and what they realized is that her particular cells had a fantastic way of multiplying.
Mm-hmm.
So to this day, I believe to this
They're
day,
They're
still
still
using
using
herself.
they're
her.
still using her cells in
Right.
cancer research. So that's out
Right.
of Johns Hopkins University.
Mm-hmm.
When did she die? Do you know?
She
Oh,
died, in this, if I'm not mistaken, and I don't want to misquote, but she died, I want to say in the 60s or 50s,
mhm.
Yeah,
and they're
because
still using her gene.
they
Her
call her
cells.
her cells the immortal cells because they keep
Yeah,
on
Right,
multiplying.
right, yeah,
Outside of her body, they still multiply. But
right,
they took her stuff without her permission. They took it without her
right,
exactly.
family's permission,
right.
and she died a terrible death,
Yes,
if
she
I'm
did,
not
and she died
mistaken.
poor.
She
Yeah,
That
did.
was
yeah,
one thing. Yeah.
She did.
Hmm.
yeah. So I mean, that's the history that makes a lot of folks not want to
Right.
do.
Mhm.
That's what I
Um,
was gonna bring up next.
yeah,
Yeah.
you know.
Which is
Yeah.
understandable, but when you think about it in a sense, if it's able to help someone, especially if you're directly affected by this, you
Mhm.
know that bone marrow transplant is an option for curing a person, then maybe hopefully it would help on the opposite end of the spectrum to say this could be a possibility to prolong someone's life. I
Mhm.
mean, I think as us as Black people, if we use examples, even though if Henrietta Lacks was someone who helped um, identify the cure for cancer or certain cures, you
Mhm.
know, we could use her as an example. Without her, there wouldn't be such a thing.
Yeah.
That's
Like
true.
maybe there wouldn't be a bone marrow transplant. They wouldn't have figured it out that that's something that we can use.
That's
So,
true.
and when you take something that's supposed to be so negative and not so passe, you have to look good at things. And she's a great example of such,
Mhm.
in my opinion.
Yeah.
So
The
with
match is challenging for us as people of African descent because of what they call admixture.
Mhm.
So
Oh yeah, master.
that's where it came from. So
And what is
we
that?
left we left Africa and we came to the West, and then we interbreed with Indians and Europeans, and so now there's a mixture. So as Ian gave the example, he has 3 children, but 2 match and 1 doesn't. So
Mhm.
of siblings,
Okay.
there's a 25% chance of a match. So you can
Wow.
have 4 and only a 25% chance of a match. So yeah.
Now, my question is how many of African American people are directly affected that would need a bone marrow transplant?
I was about
That's
to,
my question.
I was about
Like,
to ask.
how many of us are directly affected or been diagnosed with something that would need a bone marrow
Hold
transplant?
on. Who does it affect more, us
Right,
or white folks?
right,
Hmm.
I mean,
The thing is, for them, for others, I should say,
right,
there's more of a possibility of a match.
right.
So
Where we don't have
because
it.
more register,
Hmm.
and there's a better chance of that match because of less mixture.
Right.
So that's what gives them a higher number. They could go up to, I think, 77%, sometimes 97%, depends on the exact cancer. But for us, it ranges between 23% and 67%. So
Wow.
you know,
So,
yeah.
Mr. Richards, I noticed you've been super educated on this. So you've been doing your homework, obviously. 'Cause I see you
Well,
answering the questions along, you know.
in terms of Henrietta Latt, to me, she was fascinating. There's a YouTube video on her. NPR did a story on her,
Uh-huh.
and I watched a documentary on her as well. I mean, her cells are in every single country in the entire world.
Mhm.
I
Mm,
mean, most of the modern medicine is based on her cells. They're
Yeah.
still being used. They're
Yep.
not. They're still multiplying, and they've never seen that before. I can tell you the truth. There are some individuals that I'm like, you might be related to Henrietta Lacks. I have some folks who just recover miracle wise,
right.
and that might be because of some of the brutality that we suffered.
Yeah.
I used to believe because I used to watch a cartoon called He-Man. Remember
Oh
He-Man?
yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And they had an episode in there with this big black dude. And I used to believe that black folks around the world were just naturally bigger, naturally stronger than everybody else, you know, because we the men. And then I started looking, you know, over Africa and and I realized that American and those that are enslaved, that are the descendants of slaves, seem to be a bit stronger, larger than our African sisters and brothers. Even though there are some big dudes over there as well, big ladies, that kind of thing.
Right.
And what I realized was, if you weren't the strongest, number one, you didn't make it.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, and if you weren't the toughest, you weren't allowed to breed anyway. So that kind of strength is the result of what you call unnatural, I guess, selection. And with some of the masters deciding to, you know, take a piece of the pie, some of these plantations were not just plantations; they were whorehouses as well, where they would essentially take the slaves. You didn't have a choice, and you were in the hands of whoever was there, and they would breed with the slaves. I mean, I remember the documentary on. Help me out. You all know which documentary I'm talking about, because
I was
Roots?
no, not Roots.
no, I'm talking about the documentary on that president who everyone claimed, oh, that can't be true.
Jefferson was it?
I think it was
Thomas
Jefferson.
Jefferson.
Yeah, you know, they were like, oh, because folks don't remember when racism creeps into academia. Jefferson, these folks were claiming they were descendants of Jefferson, and all of these learned scholars came on PBS to testify. No, that's just ridiculous. That could not be true, you know. And Thomas Jefferson's descendants attempted to, not descendants, sorry, the black folks that were claiming they were Thomas Jefferson's descendants attempted to do DNA tests and all that. And some of the family members refused. Why? Because you know what your great-great-granddaddy is dead. You know what I'm saying? And you didn't want everybody else to sully the great name.
So wait a minute. He had that many fornication with the women slaves?
There were a lot of children.
There was a lot of that.
Yes.
A whole lot of that. In fact, he had her. He almost had her almost as his wife.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So she was in a separate little room. They found the room that she would stay in.
So what you would call it, a Django Candyland fantasy?
So, you know, so you have this the denial thing in terms of the documentaries, and you can see the inner workings of those that are attempting to tell history. When I was in law school, we went to this poetry thing on 441 here in Miami, Florida, and they used to call it His Story instead of history. They used to call it His Story. And you could see that these so-called academics were so biased or history academics were so biased that they wouldn't even consider it until one or two family members decided to say, okay, fine, let's just see if this is true. And sure enough, it was true. You know, so you have that mixture that has come through wanted and unwanted procreation. Unnatural selection, some natural selection. So you see folks that are they don't know where their DNA is from. Some folks go into 23andMe. I've done 23andMe. I've done Ancestry.com. Heck, I found a grand aunt, I think she is, or something like that. That was in New York. That we didn't know was there, because not only are there folks that families want to talk about, there are folks that families don't want to talk about.
Oh yeah.
So so in terms of bone marrow donation, you don't know what you're mixed with. You know, you have no idea. You know, some people, I'm 100% African. No, you're not. you know, you're not 100% African, and a couple white folks have found out you're not 100% white. Caucasian essentially is like a made up term. There's a
Yeah.
whole bunch of Sikhs and Indians out there that
Right.
are 100% African. And even if you look at the case law that surrounds what is and is not Caucasian, Supreme Court had to come up with a BS definition of what Caucasian really was, because their definition, the Sikh guy came in and found out he was from the Caucasian mountains. So he was like, yeah, I'm Caucasian, and all that. And the Supreme Court says, no. I mean, listen to the definition of Caucasian from the Supreme Court, and I can look up the date and the name of the case. It was a Sikh gentleman. He's kind of Indianish. I know Sikhs are gonna get mad at me for calling them Indians, but he said, I'm Caucasian. And they said, well, okay, we have to admit, genetically speaking, you're Caucasian. But the legal definition of Caucasian for the purposes of owning land in the United States is that it would be the definition of a lay citizen of the United States as to what is Caucasian. Who ever heard of a definition like that?
Wow.
So so your genetics, we had I saw this before, but they went ahead and they actually played that documentary again in Broward County when they had judicial sensitivity training. That's something where essentially somebody got in trouble for saying something they're not supposed to say, and then you go in the room and everybody's like, okay, now you're sensitive, whatever.
Really?
So in the legal system, they essentially just made up rules in order to determine who was included and excluded. That gentleman, by the way, ended up committing suicide because he couldn't own property and he lost what he had.
Wow.
The Sikh?
Yeah, because he couldn't own property and he lost what he had, according to the information that I received. So getting back to what I was talking about, blown my sorry. There's a whole lot of history. I apologize.
We're gonna have you on another show.
Hold on. My question is, so besides, other than the family, so in order for you to get like to get like a donor besides the family, because as you say, we are mixed up with different cultures. It would be hard. Is it hard to get like a donor? Besides, if it's not any of your
it's
family.
extremely difficult for African Americans. You want to call yourself African American? You want to call yourself Black American? I ain't calling myself the N word, so whatever. But Negro, I guess. But the other one, no. So we're so mixed, as one of the young ladies here said. We're so mixed that it's like a shot in the dark. For Caucasians, for white folks, because I ain't really Caucasians, for white folks, it's a whole lot easier to find a match. And no, it's not because it's some conspiracy. No, it's because we aren't putting our bone marrow in there.
Our samples,
our samples in there for people to be able to see. And maybe when the government starts hunting you down by your level of blackness, God knows what's going to happen after.
That's next.
That might be a problem. But for right now, people are dying.
Yeah.
I mean, people are dying here. People are dying in the Bahamas. People are dying in Jamaica. People are dying in Georgia. And, every now and then, somebody who is white will donate or be able or be a match for one of us. So, that's good. But wouldn't it be a whole lot easier if someone who is more genetically related to you were to donate, and then or at least put their stuff in the system so that they can figure out whether or not you're a match? There's a give and a take to all of this, by the way. Because even with the 23andMe system or the ancestry system, the police officers have been using it to find people that murdered people years and years ago.
Yeah.
So the Green River Killer, I think they caught him because one of his family members donated, and one of the officers pretended to be something and put their stuff in 23andMe or Ancestry or one of the other ones, and somebody came up as a partial match, and when they were like, "Ooh, hold on a minute," found out it was a police officer who was around there. You know, so they were. So if you think that you're trying to get away by not putting your stuff in there, you don't have to. Anybody in your
By
family,
association, guilty by association.
yeah, they're gonna track you once they figure out that there's a close match. They're gonna just follow the breadcrumbs back to whoever could have put their DNA in the system, and then they'll find you. So I have a brother, and if he were to do something or I were to do something, and either one of us were to put our DNAs in, mine's is in, it's too late. We're gonna get caught. It's just, it is what it is. So if you're thinking that you're hiding your DNA, you're not really hiding your DNA. It's the best thing to do is to try and help those members of your community who otherwise would not have that lifeline, in my opinion.
That's true.
That's true.
Now, does it matter if you're a citizen or not?
I don't believe it matters if you're a citizen or not. The age is the main thing.
And the health. Yeah, you do a health questionnaire too.
Yeah. The age is the main. I mean, and in fact, it doesn't matter if you're a citizen or not. The Caribbean Bone Marrow organization was set up, I think, because they were kind of hoarding it a bit. And there were people from Bahamas to Bermuda to all of those places, Curacao, all that, those folks out there, and there seemed to be a little bit of friction between Be the Match and some of the other organizations in terms of saying, "Hey, we got some, people over here that need a donation. I mean, need to see if they match," and sharing of information at the time. I don't know about now, but sharing of information was an issue. In fact, I think they may have tried to buy out the Caribbean Bone Marrow folks, and they refused, or something like that. So this is a life and death thing, and you know what I mean. It's a life and death situation worldwide.
Yeah.
And when worldwide, a lot more white folks donate than folks of mixed heritage and or just Black folks, you have an issue.
Definitely. And that's the thing. I've always tried to figure out. Because we spoke about this also with this topic. It said, well, how can you bring this topic up and still make it exciting and still make it appealing and draw the crowd? Because this is not something where
like I said, it's not a normal conversation.
And that's the thing. Even when we were preparing for this, we sat back and we threw a lot of different scenarios.
Because remember, to me, the reason being it has to do with something. It's medical, and when it's something,
everybody shies away from medical stuff.
And when it's you or the family member, it's like it's scary stuff. So they're not gonna want to talk about it.
Now let me ask something here.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with the conversation, but they're not gonna want to talk about it.
Let me ask something here now. Since we talk about medical, and then now we have female and male on the panel, because it's a normal thing for the males to draw away from anything.
Well, that's how it's been throughout the years.
To go get your regular checkup,
especially when it comes to Black men.
Forget about.
Don't like doctors for some reason.
So now, Sassy, being that you're in that, do you see a difference as far as females participating in this more than males? Or Mr. Richards, have you experienced anything where you've seen, the difference with the male and female?
Yeah, it is a difference.
Yeah. You definitely have a difference. It seems as if females, and I'm not trying to kiss up ladies, a little bit more giving in terms of that. There's a young lady who thinks she's maybe a manager or supervisor or something at 1520. It's a gospel station, and she is a big time. I think she donated. She's a donor.
Donor. That's
You
good.
know, to someone was a coworker or something like that. She was able to donate. I'm not sure if it was bone marrow or it was a liver or something like. I think might have been bone marrow. But she's big time into it because she didn't know before. You know, and when they find out, they're more likely to do something. That really, if you're a God-fearing person, you believe that you're here to make the lives of your children and all that, but you're here to make the community better overall. And no, it doesn't come with $1 million, but it comes with the satisfaction of knowing that if you need something, they'll give it to you, and if they need something, if they need something, you're gonna give it to them. One hand washes the other. That's how this works.
Exactly.
But nobody's gonna force you to go ahead and donate if you don't want to. The idea behind all of this is to try your very best to make sure that there's a safety net there.
Right.
And there are folks that are suffering, that are passing away. If you go to the Caribbean Bone Match website right now, there are folks. There's in memoriam for, I think, a young man who didn't make it. This is the real type stuff. There are folks out there who don't see it, so they don't believe it. And I would caution, because I'm about to go into an area that might be a little touchy now. Some folks essentially told me, "Oh, this COVID thing, it ain't real." This is, dude. Um, my friend works at Jackson North Memorial. My mom's a nurse. My wife's first degree in nursing. She does a lot of translation stuff now. But he told me, "Ian, look, don't sleep on this. It's still out there." He has people. They can't do anything for these folks when they come in. You're in God's hands. Say your prayers, because they're gonna. Some of them might make it with the ventilator and that sort of thing, but you don't see them. Passing on. And then the cruelest thing about it is they don't let your loved ones in.
Come in. Yeah.
They don't let them in. So it's essentially like, you killed my family member, dude. I was a little late to come in and get started and everything. Everyone, and you guys do such a good job of making sure it really didn't. People didn't see it, but I was just sitting next to a young lady who is an LPN nurse from Georgia. And she works in a place where they take a lot of the COVID patients in. And she said it was like 2 days ago or so, the lady said, "Do you need any medication or everything?" No, no, no. And, within a couple of hours, she started changing colors and she's gone.
Wow.
Just because you don't see these folks, the American medical system is very good at sanitizing death. Let's be real about it. You don't see those bodies coming out the front because there's a place in the back that they take the bodies out so they don't scare folks. You know what I'm saying? My wife, when she first started at what was that pineapple, the hospital that has a pineapple as a sign?
We won't say it. We won't say it.
Okay, all right, let's back up. And she's like, no. So you see these things.
It's not with a P.
You see these things occur, and they're really good at not letting folks see what truly happens. That happens in the medical system where they sanitize everything, so you don't see all of the suffering and the like that happens. It all happens behind closed doors. Happens in the criminal justice system, where they won't let you see all those grotesque items in newspapers and stuff like that. I once had detective come up to me in the middle of court. I'm like, why are you bothering me in the middle of court? I'm in the middle of domestic violence court. And detective walked up to me and said, I need for you to release somebody from, I think it was jail. He was being held on something. And he said, we need to be able to have him come out. And I said, what you need? He said, well, we found the head. Here's the picture. I'm like, dude!
Whoa.
What? Where's your warrant? Where's your papers? Let me just sign that. He's like, what? No, I don't need to see that.
Whoa.
And because of that, like I said, everything is.
I want to see it. Throw me the head. I want
like they have the head, they just want to find the rest of the body.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
And as I said before, when the system has become so modernized, so good at redirection, you get anesthetized against what really happens until it happens to you.
Yeah.
And the bone marrow situation is just that. Something happens to your family member, you feel it in here in your heart, because you're sitting there, there's nothing you can do to save this person. But maybe if you had donated and you had inspired someone else to donate, maybe they would have been the match for your child, for your sister, for your brother, for your mother, father, friend, or something like that. And it's kind of sad that we don't talk a little bit more about that in our communities.
Yeah.
That's true. I actually donated 8 years ago. I was pregnant at the time and was part of a health fair. So Be the Match was there. And I went ahead and I did the initial questionnaire and I did my swabs. I'm part of the registry.
Excellent.
And with them, you stay until about age 61. They keep you on till 61. They might not use you, but they'll keep you on till 61.
Wow.
So I'm still part of it. And what you need to do is just update your information. They still reach out to me by email. But when they do call, so let me go through the steps on registering, right? So if you decide, you make a decision, you do a health questionnaire, you sign a consent form, you swab your mouth, you give the sample, it goes into a national registry. Okay, it's called the National Marrow Donor Program Registry. And then that registry also communicates with others on the international level as well. So altogether, international, there's about 30 million people registered, which is pretty good. But you still want more of
and more that look like us
with our admixture. So should your information change, just update them, or you also let them know that you're no longer interested. You don't have to stay on forever. You make a decision if you want to be removed, but it's best to stay on, right? Then you wait. You may be called, you may never be called, but for me, I'll be on that list, on that registry until age 61, which is good.
All right, let me just get something straight now. So now when you all right, let me run it back down real quick. So consent, swab, update, follow swab, update, wait, get involved. Right? So now, at that point now, once I do all these steps, this is not just to make sure if someone in my family becomes sick, this is for anyone.
Anybody out there.
Right?
Yes. So if they do call you, it is for you to donate to anyone, not to say, no, I'm waiting on such and such.
Okay.
It's for you to say, yes, I will donate for this person who is a match. What do I need to do next? The next step. Go ahead, Norris.
When you swab and all of that, that's just to make sure that you're a match.
No, that's just to put you in the registry.
That's it. Yeah.
That's just a registration.
So even when you become a match for someone, then how the procedure go, like the surgery and all of that go? I mean, like.
So let's learn. So the next thing is, okay, you are a match, Norris. They'll contact you.
Yeah.
They will update your health information, because for me it's been 8 years. Things have changed for me over the past 8 years. and it will for the next 20, right?
Yeah.
So you do another questionnaire. They make you participate in an information session to learn more about the whole process. And then you sign another consent form for the actual donation. So there's 2 ways to donate. So most donations are done by peripheral. So you get 2 needles, 1 in each arm.
So that's the part I'm trying to get to.
Yeah. So the blood comes out. Well, actually, before you get to that, they draw more blood. They do a physical.
Yeah.
They say, okay, you're perfect match for this person. Let's go. Needles go in, blood comes out, goes through the machine, takes out the cells that are needed, puts the blood back. Before that, they actually give you, I think 5 days ahead, an injection, 3 injections, and this helps to stimulate additional blood cells. So you may feel a little back pain. Most people complain of a little soreness of their back because your bones are generating these extra cells.
Well, hold on. Let me ask you, Richard. Did you feel the back pain situation?
No. All I did was do the swab.
Oh, okay.
So I'm
It's
in the
registered.
registry.
Yeah.
Just like Sassy, I'm in the registry.
Is that a
But
match?
I haven't donated yet. If they call me, I'm here.
Okay.
So you're not. So you just registered. You're not really a match yet.
Exactly. So
What?
that's the part we're telling everybody not to be afraid of. Just do the registry.
Yeah. Okay.
Because they ask for your permission again. Once they find you. You know, you could decide that you don't want to actually go through it. You don't want to, what do you call it again? You don't want to have them participate. The idea is to just figure out whether or not you're the match. In terms of the process, so you were talking about the 2 processes. One is where they just take the blood out, and the other one. Go ahead.
So the second one is the actual surgery,
Yeah, that's
which is what Norris is talking about. So that's the actual going in. It's an outpatient surgery. You go into the OR. They give you anesthesia. Well, probably local, but then they actually take a big needle and take part of your hip bone out to get in and get the bone marrow liquid.
So hold up. They cut you open and take out part of your.
Whoa.
No. Finish. No.
I've actually seen this.
It's like Mr. Richard said in the beginning. He said when he first heard about it, he thought they cut a piece of the bone, and I knew this was what he was. I'm not getting any bone cut out of me.
They take a little drill thing.
Yeah, it just go into your hip bone on the back. Suck out what they need and go from there.
That's not normal. That's not common though. That's the uncommon portion.
Yeah.
Very, very uncommon. So they don't really do that. The one that they do mostly is where they give you the injection, right? Of the drug.
2 needles. Yeah, they give you the shot to stimulate and then take it out in about 5 days.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. What they are doing now, because what most of our people have to resort to is actually what they call cord blood stem cells. So so that's where
they take a fetus.
Not the fetus. That's embryonic. That's not this. So when because I used to be a midwife. I'm retired. So when we did this, any woman that wanted to donate, so you have 2 ways. The one for the registry is a public one. So a woman goes into labor, has the delivery immediately. We begin to collect the cord blood from the placenta.
Yeah.
And we send it off to a registry.
Like what? The afterbirth or?
Yeah, the placenta, the afterbirth. Yeah, it's rich in a lot of really good blood cells, very healthy. So that's what we as African Americans, I think sometimes up to 76% of the stem cell transplants that we end up having to get is actually from cord blood.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, I didn't know about that.
Yeah,
I know that. Damn.
Yeah.
New every day.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's because we don't have enough matches. So they began, researching and using cord blood stem cells. Yeah.
You know what? I'm really. I have to do something.
No, we too old
I have
now.
to do something. No,
we too old
you
now.
too old. I'm not too old.
No, you can still register up to age 60.
It says what? Right? 60?
Up to age 60. Remember, it's just the first step. It's just to be
They might,
included in the registry.
they might not pick us.
No, listen, he's just scared. He's
no,
still,
no, hold on. Dr. Richard said it's up to a certain age they might pick you. If it's a family member, yes. But for the general public, man, they ain't picking us.
they're not picking you.
The most desired age group is age 18 to 25.
We are that age.
I got a son that's about to age out of that group. So hello.
We are off. Our age is off the almanac. All right. Okay.
No, I am truly inspired right now to try.
Free of them, because like some information, I'm like, damn.
So Norris, when can I get you registered?
Yeah, it's all good.
Listen, I'm ready. I'm ready.
That's
I'm ready.
good.
Because I remember when you went. I remember. I don't know why I didn't do it, but I'm always busy, so that's probably why something happened. But now, after hearing all this, and I am inspired,
it's a lot.
and I always want to give back. I normally donate blood. You know what I mean? So on the regular.
Now, I have a question.
Go ahead.
If you have been diagnosed with something that can you still register? For instance, I have the sickle cell trait. Am I still a possible candidate for the registry?
It depends. Yeah, I didn't get to look that one up, but I would still complete the questionnaire and go from there. I would still do it.
Yeah, but you got the trait. You don't have sickle cell, so
disease. You don't have the disease, so you should,
No, I
you should
don't.
qualify.
But I do know that because I was always told I could never have a baby with another person who has the trait because the possibility of having
the full blown
the disease.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why I just asked.
Yeah.
Let me ask a question on something also, because I heard something about blood type, or am I off, or that doesn't matter? Like the
It
age.
doesn't matter.
Okay.
The only cells what they look for, or the goal is just to replace. Basically, you're replacing a person's immune system.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
When you become a donor, you are actually assisting someone with fully replacing their immune system. Because cancer basically attacks the immune system.
And like, there's never any dumb questions.
Never.
But say now, is it something like if I gave him, am I losing out on something for myself now?
No. No.
That's what I always thought. Cause like, say stuff like a kidney transplant. I give you one of my kidney. I'm like, damn.
Well, you make blood all the time, right?
Yeah, in terms of the chemo, we lost my mother-in-law from the cancer, and I did some looking into the chemo and the like. Chemo is poison, is what it is.
Yeah.
You need it, you have to use it, but let's be clear on what it's there for. And that radiation and the like, what they're doing is they're killing the cells that grow the fastest, because your cancer cells grow fast. Your not nails, but your hair also grows fast, right? So what they're doing is they're essentially terminating all of the fastest growing cells in your body, all right? And they're wiping them out. And you need your immune system back. So in some cases, you need those cells from someone who matches, hopefully, to go and give you back your immune system, because your immune system is just completely wiped out with the cancer treatment that they give you. And folks don't really, understand that. Well, why would I make you sicker in order to make you feel better? There was I think it was, okay, I'm really aging myself. There's a show on 2020. Okay, you remember 2020?
Yeah.
Right.
we still watch it.
Yeah.
Right. So
I watch it.
Right. Well, 2020 used to have a show about a doctor who was a cancer doctor, and his supposed patients, they would go on chemo, and they loved them because they wouldn't get sick.
The fake one.
Yeah. And they weren't getting sick because the chemo wasn't doing anything. And so the cancer in these folks who could have lived kept growing, because chemo it comes in. It's like, from the Transformers Devastator. It just comes in and wipes everybody
Everything
out,
out. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And the bone marrow, that's where your immune system is recreated. And so you need someone to come in and give you your soldiers back. You need to get, the folks, because the chemo may not be what really kills you, but you go out there and you catch any little cold or whatever, and your body has thousands of these little boys waiting to come and make you sick. You just go outside and breathe. Everybody knows about COVID and all that kind of stuff, but there are things out there that normally your body is able to fight off.
Fungus,
Yeah,
viruses.
anything.
Yeah.
And once your body is devastated and all of that stuff is gone, you need your immune system back in your bone marrow. And what that doctor was doing in that 2020 series was he just wasn't giving it to him.
He was trying to
And
do a placebo effect, right?
yeah, placebo, and he would resell the same chemotherapy stuff to other people. He would make a fortune, but he was killing
Millions.
people.
He
Yeah, he
made
was making.
millions.
Yeah, you remember? Yeah, he was making a whole lot of money doing what he was doing.
Yeah.
But people were dying left and right because of that. And the bone marrow process is essentially to bring back what you have intentionally removed
Yeah.
in many cases.
Wow.
How did he get busted?
Hmm?
How
Was
did he
it
get
billing? I
busted?
think through billing. I think it was through billing or something.
Yeah.
Or somebody
Oh,
probably maybe I think a
Somebody in his
worker
office?
ratted him out. Yeah.
yeah. But
I
what
think it
many?
was out of Ohio, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, wow. Okay. Because Medicare is slow. They used to pay. They still pay. They pay very quickly. And
Yeah.
we're in the capital of Medicare fraud, by the way,
Right
South
here.
Florida.
Oh
The
yeah.
capital of insurance fraud,
Everything.
Medicare fraud,
Fraudulent.
so they will. They will catch you. It just takes them a long time to catch you. I used to take care of homeless elderly at ALF down close to 36th Street in Miami, Florida. I used to sleep there at night times and that type of thing. And you would get people coming to the door trying to sell you stuff for elderly, because they knew that some of the patients there had Medicaid or Medicare or something like that, and they just wanted to build and bill and bill and bill that type of thing. Welcome to South Florida. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
A
So,
lot more than just sunshine and beaches.
well, we're the capital of fraud for the entire United States too.
Really?
Oh
Yeah, the
yeah.
FBI has
Oh yeah.
the FBI has training on South Florida. They have
Yep.
they have trained, so don't do nothing, Tommy. Yeah,
Oh
South
yeah.
Florida.
This is epicenter.
You
South
never seen
Florida,
the
New
news?
Jersey.
You never seen the news?
I think those are the two number one spots, and
Yeah.
Florida beats New Jersey, but they're
You
two
ever
number
seen-
one spots for fraud.
I've seen
Wow.
on the news all the time where like a fake doctor get busted, or he used to be a doctor in Cuba. He coming over here and practicing. His practice is false and all kind of stuff. I've seen that a lot. Where they get busted, when I'm like,
Oh,
man.
man.
You talking real doctors that
No,
do
I mean they're doctors, but they're not certified.
Not licensed here.
Right.
no. The ones that get busted, generally
Or
Are
speaking,
licensed
real
here.
are
doctors.
real doctors,
The real
real
doctors.
nurses, because you're
They're
Or
talking about
licensed.
a
not
big
licensed.
amount of money.
They're not
Right.
licensed. They're not licensed to practice.
Yes,
No,
they
some of
are.
them
Yes,
are.
they
Some of
are.
them are.
It's not
Some
like
of them
they're
are.
fraudulent doctors. No. Many of them are real doctors, but they get caught billing for stuff that they didn't
Overbilling.
do.
Right.
Yeah.
And when they get caught for selling maybe the same walker 1,000 times, to
To one
someone.
person.
Yeah, they sold it to Maria, they sold it to Michael, they sold it to Cindy. Now, walkers don't multiply. They're not like Henrietta Lex. They don't, they don't multiply on their own. But South Florida is like number one in the entire country for Medicaid, Medicare, and insurance fraud.
Yep.
Crazy.
But I'm talking about bone marrow, and I'm talking about everything else besides bone marrow. And now I'm talking about I mean, the state attorney's office in South Florida, if you didn't know, they have a special unit. Like Catherine Fernandez Rundle, them, they have a special unit just for fraud,
Yeah.
for insurance fraud and all that. And I went off topic once again.
We said we wanted to make it fun and educational at the same time.
It's the same topic.
This is what we're accomplishing right
It's
now.
the same topic. Medical. It's the same topic.
We're accomplishing that right.
Just a wide range of it. That's it.
Where's Crockett and Tubbs when you need them?
Yeah, just a wide range.
For all those we're really telling our age, because I know those younger kids are like Crockett and Tubbs.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Miami Vice.
Miami Vice.
And you remember the opening scene of Miami Vice?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yep. Hey, every man our age at the time we were young boys, damn.
Listen, no socks wearing and pink seats. So, but listen, listen. I am fully amped up right now, and the wheels are turning. So now let me ask you, Mr. Richards and Sassy. I know Nisha J. Well, we'll get Nisha J involved in some way or another. But I'm gonna because you're in another state. So we're dealing with everyone that's here right now. So I'm gonna try and put together something where we could do this whole bone marrow drive, get the education, the word out. There's some other organizations that I know
They can put it
that
on
are
our
doing
website.
things for the community,
Put it
and
up on our site.
if we cross promote and try and get something, can I get you guys involved in it? If we get, so
Definitely.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
All right, so I'm gonna start making some phone calls and start getting those stuff situated, and then let's see what we can do to start bringing more information to the community and get these people out here to start getting
Not
this
only
stuff.
not only bone marrow, like cancer, everything.
Well, that's the thing, because like I said, we have some personal friends that have like links. Well, this is sickle cell.
Yeah,
You know, a personal friend of mine, yeah, sickle, and I didn't know it's like.
I think we all know at least one person with the disease, and a lot of people with the trait. So yeah.
So that's the thing. We have a few people that are within, and so again, you might be sitting right next to someone that you can help, and you didn't even know that. You know, so something might happen to a friend of mine, and I'm a match, and I just didn't know, and he didn't know because neither one of us,
sometimes
are educated on it.
It's not all about the wretchedness,
I mean, that's
when we
the
talk
thing.
about. No, it's not all about the wretchedness. Sometimes we need to like have conversation like this.
And that's the thing with it. And I would like for everyone that's watching to understand something. It's not always about just the rah-rah.
Yeah.
The everyday thing. We try and touch on everything on this show.
What's going on with Kim Kardashian and Kanye West? No.
And that's the thing with it in our community. The blind spot.
Yeah.
The matrix. And society in itself now with social media and everything, it kind of blinds you on the important things, the things that's right in front of you. So those are the things that we're trying to focus on more, to let you know in the community that we have to do better. We have to do better, and there's no excuse.
Shine a light on it, and let's bring it to life.
I mean, in the legal system, I think they said I'm trying to remember the term. Like if you're in court and you say, "Well, I didn't know," they say, "Well, there's a term."
Ignorance of the it's the law, right? But ignorance of the situation is not
an excuse.
What is it? They're not an excuse, right?
Like Mr. Richards, you should know.
But ignorance of the law is no excuse. Okay.
I think that's it. I'm not sure, but like if you were sitting in front of it, I didn't know. They say, well, you should know. So what I'm saying for us in the community, at this point now, if the information is given to you, you should know. You understand? So, and that's what we're trying to do.
Thank you very much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
God bless you guys.
Thank you. So again, now we'd like everyone to know, once again, you can reach us on all platforms. We're on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Anchor, iTunes, YouTube, IG, Facebook. So once again, Mr. Ian Richards, thank you very much for joining us live at the barbershop. Sitting in the barber chair.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And please do go swab, donate, and let's make it happen. I will put that together and let everyone know. We'll have you back
register.
Caribbeanmarrow.org.
Yeah,
Black
Thank you, yes, sir.
Bone
Or be
marrow.com
the match.
and
Or
be the match.
Be the match.
be a match. Yes. Thank you very much. God bless, and I want to thank you all. Live at the barbershop. You know when I close out what I normally say.
Go out and be somebody.
Go out in the world and be somebody. All right? Thank you very much.
Good night.
Live at the
Good night.
Go out in the world and be somebody.